Hello and welcome to yet another video on AI Pulse, presented by your mentor Vivek. An artificial intelligence agent flew a real F-16 fighter jet, not a simulator, not a scale model, a production fighter, in the air over Florida. That part is true, and it is genuinely a milestone. But a lot of the coverage carried four extra words: no pilot required. And when you read the announcement from the agency that ran the test, those four words are not in it. So let us go to the source. On the 16th of July 2026, DARPA published the announcement together with the United States Air Force. The flights happened at Eglin Air Force Base in Florida. And it happened in two stages. In June, the modified aircraft flew ordinary piloted missions. The point was simply to confirm that the new hardware and software behaved safely in the air. Then, in July, the onboard AI agent took autonomous control of portions of the flight. The program has a name worth knowing because you will see it again: VENOM, Viper Experimentation, and Next Generation Operations Model. It sits under an older DARPA program called ACE, Air Combat Evolution. Several F-16s have been converted into autonomy test aircraft for it. Now the correction, and it matters. A human pilot was in the cockpit for every one of these flights, not in a ground station in the aircraft. Their job was to monitor the AI agent and to confirm the test objectives were being met. And they retain the ability to switch between AI control and manual control at any moment. So, three things this was not. It was not the flight of a fully autonomous fighter. It was not a demonstration of an uncrewed firing capability. Nothing was fired by an AI. And it did not involve changing the core software of the F-16 itself. The autonomy rides on added hardware and instrumentation. And here is the thing: strip out the exaggeration, and the real result is still remarkable. Let me give you three reasons. 1. The earlier milestone in this program, an AI agent flying a dogfight, used the X-62A Vista, a purpose-built, heavily modified test aircraft. What changed now is the airframe. In the words of the DARPA program manager, Brigadier General James Valpiani, the team has automated flight controls and sensors on a standard F-16, moving from a one-off test bed to a fleet aircraft is the harder engineering problem. 2. And this is the part I want you to notice. The announcement states its own limits. Portions of flight, not the whole flight. Pilot aboard, no weapons release. When an organization publishes the boundaries of its own result, you can actually verify the claim. That is the difference between a result and a press release. 3. Listen to how the program describes its own stage. Lieutenant Colonel Patrick Hyland, the incoming program manager, called these flights an early glimpse of how AI agents may begin transforming air warfare. Early glimpse. That is the program's own language, not a finished capability. So what do you take from this? The pattern first, because it keeps repeating. The primary source is almost always more careful than the coverage of it. Episode 3 was exactly this shape. A drug wrongly attributed to the wrong company by a dozen outlets at once. The people who did the work usually describe it accurately. The compression happens afterwards. And a caution: this episode reports what was flown and by whom. Whether autonomous combat aircraft should be built at all is a serious question. and it is not one I am going to settle in 6 minutes. I'm telling you what the record says, so that when you form a view, you are forming it on the real thing. So here is the verdict. An artificial intelligence flew a fighter jet, and a human sat there watching it do so. That is smaller than the headline promised, and far bigger than nothing. The lesson is the one this series keeps landing on. Go and read the release. It is almost always more interesting than the summary of it. If you found this useful, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for patient listening, and see you in the next video. Until then, peace out.